Welcome to it. We are back out in the garden. The sun, believe it or not, has just come up. Eugene, thank you so much for joining us this morning and bringing what looks like a beautiful olive tree. Of course, the theme today is olives, and we've seen some great recipes. We've seen how we can press our own olives to create our own olive oil. But now we are looking at the beautiful plant. What time of the season does it bloom? What do we need to know about the olive tree if we want to start growing our own?
The best time to grow them is now, autumn. It gives them a time through the winter to establish themselves and get pretty strong. Olives flower in spring, and you'll be picking your olives autumn time, so quite late in the season.
Is it an easy tree to farm, even in our sort of microcosm of being a roof garden, or that? Is it a good tree to work with if you're wanting a yield, or is it just a beautiful tree to have from an aesthetic value?
It is a very beautiful aesthetic tree. It adds a bit of sort of silver foliage, different colour to your garden. They grow relatively quickly, are very easy to grow, pretty much any soil type. They just don't like having their roots submerged in soil, submerged in water for too long.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. When creating a garden that is going to welcome an olive tree, what do we need to do? Where are we planting it? What does it need to be planted with?
You generally need full sun, at least 6 hours a day. That's the most important. They're very hardy trees once established. It's probably one of the most drought-resistant trees out there. Once they become established, you're looking at quite a long period before you get your olives. The tree's got to be at least 4 years old before you get your first crop. But between 4 and 15 years is more or less the time you're going to have to wait.
Oh, wow.
But you will get a lot of olives. One tree will yield a lot of olives for you in your garden.
And we're seeing a lot more of that in the Cape, a lot more of our locally produced olive oils. So obviously our climate does lend something to it.
Our climate's perfect for olives. I mean, generally you get them across the European basin. So down here in the Cape, we've got the perfect climate for them. Hot summers and not too bad winters, not too cold. They do tolerate unbelievable extremes in temperature. You'll get, they can tolerate snow, they can tolerate frost.
Wow.
So they're very strong trees.
Because, the first thought that pops into my mind, this was a one-time desert or a very hardy plant for that reason. If you look at where olives originate from, where does the plant come from? What is its origin?
Generally, they presume it's from Iran, Iraq, into the Mediterranean basin. They're cultivated all over the world now. So climates like California tolerate them, New Zealand, Australia. You can get olive trees pretty much anywhere in the world. So it does generate from that area. You get about 1,000 different varieties. Italy alone recognizes at least 300 different types of olive trees.
Wow.
But they have whittled it down to a few cultivars which seem to work better for either olive production or olive oil.
What are we seeing? What varietals are working here in South Africa?
The Mission, which is this tree over here, has become extremely popular. Olives are very production specific, so you get olives which are produced for olive oil. Frontoio is one that springs to mind, and then the Mission is an olive tree from California, which seems to be produces heavy crops all over the world at the moment. So Mission is one I would definitely recommend here in South Africa.
Do you think we'll be able to build one up on our roof garden? Do they need a bit more soil, a bit
more
earth to work with?
They need a fair amount of space, but you can container plant them. I've seen them in pretty small plots. They do quite well in pots, so I think you will be able to put one on your roof garden here and have production after a couple of years. Generally start with a big tree, then you don't have to wait 4 or 5 years before you get your olives. Yeah.
All right, then if you could offer us one tip for planting an olive tree, something that, for the layperson, something that we might not pick up or might not get from our nursery.
Very easy to grow. Just plant them in the bigger hole as possible. So generally try and make the hole square, don't make it round. Okay. Round holes trees tend to grow their roots in a circle and become pot-bound within the soil.
Oh, wow.
Make the hole as big as you possibly can. So it depends on your soil, on your pots. This tree, for instance, I would make at least 1 meter wide by 1 meter deep. Sure. They generally don't need a lot of composting, but adding as much rotted material to the soil as possible will help them along. Don't overwater them. If it rains a lot in winter, let them be. In summertime, especially for the first 4 or 5 years, water them at least once a week. After that, once they get established, as I say, they're extremely strong trees.
Great. Just be patient.
Be patient. Enjoy your olives.
Awesome, man. Eugene, thank you so much. What a beautiful tree. I'm going to go and look for a piece of earth to plant this guy.
Good luck.
Well, Pusaletso still in the house. We've got a performance coming. We've got a fantastic Monday morning to make our way through. Go and refill your Coffee Cup Espresso continues right now. Kat, what do you think of my olive tree, sunshine? Hey?